Welcome back to the Rundown. A special good night to all of you who are online in the Lion's Den. I see you. And then those of you joining us by YouTube and whatever platform you're watching, it's great to have you with us. Well, if you live here in New Providence and drive on Gladstone Road, or even in Grand Bahama, they have offices there as well, you will see nestled at the intersection of Munnings Drive, the National Training Agency's headquarters. Now, according to its website, the agency has provided workforce preparation training to more than 8,000 Bahamian youth in New Providence, Exuma, and Grand Bahama over the past 10 years. Successful graduates, probably more than that by now. Successful graduates have even went on to earn local and international certification. The organization has also provided job placement for over 65% of our graduates. Now, impressive data, and to shed more light on the agency's plans for 2025 is Executive Chairman Agatha Marcelle. Good evening and welcome to the Rundown. It's good to have you here.
Good evening, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So I want to get into a couple of things I think can help our viewers tonight, because it is the start of the year. Normally, it's almost like hitting the reset button in the work environment. Everybody comes back to work from the Christmas holidays, making New Year's resolutions. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to be better. I want to succeed in this particular area. It seems to be the calm, I call it before the storm, later on down in workplaces, in most workplaces. Right about now, people are in seminars, they're engaged in what the vision is for the year, they're getting restarts and resets. And then somewhere along the line, it begins to deteriorate and we're finding ourselves back in the same old patterns. What should people be doing as we are in this, what we call reset month of January, where there's so much New Year's resolutions about the workplace, about making ourselves better contributors to our work environment?
First of all, Clint, I have to correct something you said.
Go ahead, please do, correct.
I really don't believe that the National Training Agency is considered as the official arm of training in the government.
You don't believe that?
No, because there are several ministries with really substantive training operations.
And then we also have the public service training.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So later on, I'll try to explain what we do if I get the opportunity. And the other thing is, the National Training Agency is not responsible for the apprenticeship program project. That is a separate entity that is fully legislated, will operate under a board of directors as the apprenticeship entity. Okay. The National Training Agency will partner with the apprenticeship project to do pre-apprenticeship training. So with that out of the way, I can then go to your question.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Sure.
I believe that one of the things employers don't understand and employees don't understand is training isn't some magic that exists on its own or in a vacuum. For training to be successful, any type of training, there has to be reinforcement continuously of that training. There are people who get the training. They must be held accountable for what they do. So if you send your employees out to training, when they come back, you should want to see a difference in what they do. So in order to make that happen, you have to have very effective supervisors and managers.
Yeah.
And I would venture to say that's probably one of the weakest links in our workplace.
Yeah, yeah.
So when we put all those things together, and it's also helpful to send people out to training in the area of what they need in terms of improving their skills. So you just can't put a notice up on the board and say, you go to training, you go to training, you go to training. That's a waste of money. So when they go out to the training, employers must understand that they have a responsibility to their employees to make sure that they're doing what they are supposed to be doing. What will help employers do that is their system of standard operating procedures.
Oh, here we go.
That's set up in the workplace. You are to know what to do. You are to know how to do what to do. And so if you don't have that, and that's how you're able to hold your employees accountable, because there's this procedures to set up to do this show.
Correct.
So if they are not doing that, if they're not following them, this show won't be successful.
Correct.
And now you will know what you need to correct.
I think that's one of the biggest breaches that we find in workplaces, because what we find people do nowadays, particularly if there's a new employee, is you go and you sit with somebody who's already there doing the job, and they show you the way they do it, and no one's following a standard operating procedure. You just learn based on the personal training and how they do it is how you adopt to it, rather than a formal training saying this is a procedure. Here's how it should be done. And everybody has to do the same procedure. So you believe, as agencies, we probably have to go back and put the first thing in place. Put the SOPs in order first. Before we can then talk about enforcing how we do what we do and train what we do.
That's right, because everybody needs to be on the same page. And then you won't so much be delving into personalities and attitudes of people, because now you have this set of things that you measure against. Are you doing that? Are you doing that? Are you doing that? If they're not doing it, then you find out why. You know, what are the gaps? What do you need to do this, to make this happen? So when you talk about the beginning of a new year envisioning, you need to see where it is first you want to go. And you have to map that out. You have to know, I'm going to get there. I'm going to be there. And then you work backwards from that. What do I need to do to get me there? And then that's where the leadership and the supervision comes in. Because then now, as the managers and supervisors and leaders, you have to motivate your people. Oh, no, I take that back. You have to inspire.
Why inspire, not motivate?
Because you can't motivate me. If I don't want to do, I am not going to do. Motivation is intrinsic. It comes from you. But you can inspire people by your behavior and your leadership skills, by treating them fairly, by listening, by doing all the positive things that's going to help to build their trust in you as an employer or as a manager, to make them want to do their work with enthusiasm.
How much of a company's success weighs on the ability to have managers who are good at what they do and operate effectively? How much of that success weighs on that?
I can't be exactly quantitative about it, but I can tell you, if you have lousy managers and supervisors, then you will most likely have unproductive, low-performing employees. And as I go around to a lot of businesses, it confounds me, the lack of supervision and the lack of oversight of people. Now, that's not to say the people are going to turn right around and they're going to say, oh, you standing on our shoulders,
you're
micromanaging me. But that's why your name is manager, okay? To make sure that they do. And it's okay. It's how you manage. Because if you manage in a certain way that seems like micromanaging, then that's what they're going to say. But if you give them the opportunity and learn the art of correcting as opposed to criticizing, then you begin to develop the kind of workplace that really produces well.
Before we go to a break, I have to ask you, how important is the way people appear on the job? How important is that to the success of the job as far as appearance?
I think it is very important because you should portray what your workplace is, what your job is. I'll give you an example. Sometimes, if I have reason to go to a very high office, my skin crawls for some of the people that I see. And I'm like, I'm thinking, how can you come to work like this? How can you look like that in you know, coming to a place that represents the country? I don't understand that. So I want them to ask me to come and do something about it, because we can do something about it. We run the National Training Agency. We treat our employees wonderfully. We are a government entity, but we don't behave as such. You know, you have been in our premises. They are pristine.
Yes, yes, very much.
Excellent. And people said to me, oh, you know, that ain't government. I say, oh, yes, it is. But the people in it have a sense of pride in what we do. And that's what we have to try to instill in our employees, that pride. That's
important. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the programs you provide, the courses you provide, and how that's contributing to hopefully making our workforce a bit stronger. All right? You're watching The Rundown. We'll be back right after this. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching The Rundown. We're continuing our conversation with the National Training Agency's Executive Chairman, Agatha Marcelle. Important information you should have as you reset in the workplace this year. And we were talking about it in a break, and I had to go back to it. We're talking about wardrobe and making sure people dress appropriately to represent the brand of where they work. And that seems to be an issue in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, because everything we see on TV or we buy online, we believe we can wear in the workplace. You can't. You ought to look professional if that's what you represent and where you represent. Have you had employees come to work dressing inappropriately? What do you do?
Send them home. They have 1 hour for lunch. Go home, fix yourself, and come back. Because, see, it ought not be your brand or my brand. And employees have this thing going around, especially the female. Oh, my brand, I'm branding myself. And that means long winkies and whatever else it means, right? But it's not an individual brand. It's your company's brand. What do you want ZNS, Bahamas Broadcasting Corporation, to represent? And then you live up to that. And I said just before we went to break something that I think it's important. You cannot be on the outside what you don't have on the inside.
Wow.
I also think that's one of the problems with our country. People don't, they want a certain outcome, but they don't live to produce that outcome.
Say that again.
We want a certain outcome, but we don't live to produce the outcome.
Wow.
Okay, you can only bring out what is in you. It don't matter what your mouth says. It's your example that's going to make the difference. In very local common talk, we say, walk the talk. And so, if you don't live right, you can't do right.
Wow. You know, a lot of businesses, when they try to streamline, they take away that money that might have been identified for training. Is that a mistake?
Yes, I believe that there ought to be adequate monies in a company's budget for training. But the training has to be specific and pinpointed to certain things. Sometimes I wonder if companies realize one of the main purposes of that performance appraisal vehicle is to help you with determining who needs training, what kind of training, because you're always looking to build up your employees. You're not looking to see them fail. You want them to succeed.
It's supposed to be a manual to help them succeed,
yes,
not a police report.
Yes, your company succeeds.
Are there people that you think that can be deemed untrainable?
No, I don't think so. But you have to put people in the right places. One of the things about workplaces, they don't pretty much pay a whole lot of attention to who they put in these jobs or who they hire for the job. Clint, if you need an apple in a job and you hire a banana,
Trouble.
that banana will never be an apple. The only thing that banana will do is get rottener and rottener. So it's important to put some focus on who you're hiring. Now, we know how that goes.
I'll just tell you.
So,
you've been an MP.
yeah. So, so my thing is, what do you expect? What can you expect when you just do these sorts of things?
Yeah.
Listen, you said earlier in your introduction, we have so much work to do. But I want to see the person who's willing to do some real, to change this.
Yeah.
Other than that, it will be like this. There are people, right, who, I can get my job from you, so you can't tell me what to do.
Right. You can't do it to me.
Man. Because you ain't put me here. You ain't know how I get here. So, oh boy, you need to know how you... It's hard enough when you put the right people or when you have people who can do it.
Well, some level of
Can
skill.
you imagine?
Yeah.
Just...
And that's what's killing our front line, particularly in the public service.
Yes.
Because we have a lot of people who are misfits in those areas. A lot of people who have never been formally trained, don't understand what this job represents.
That's right. That's right. So here's what I say. You talk about the government's use of the National Training Agency. It's the government National Training Agency. They pay a subvention for the agency. My common sense tells me, if you want to hire, especially frontline people, yeah, you could go choose some. Make them go through the agency.
Yeah.
Get a report from the agency on the ones that, do well, blah, blah, and you still hire them. But at least those ones who are not deserving, because there are some people, lots of them, lots of young people, we deal with them, who don't want to work.
They don't want to work.
They want some money.
Oh.
But they don't want to work, okay? And so there are little things we could do without really totally upsetting the apple cart, Politicians can do them, employers can do it, managers and stuff can do it. But you just have to, work in cooperation together instead of being adversarial. At the National Training Agency, we tell people all the time, we don't compete with anybody. That's not what we do. We are trying to take those young adults. The Ministry of Education statistics that I got said about 54 of them don't do well enough coming out of school to earn a high school diploma.
Wow.
They don't have BJCs or BGCSEs, and I'm telling you that because we see it every day. So we aren't fighting with anybody. We are trying to find a way to get them basically skilled so that they don't have the academic knowledge, but they have what they can do with their hands. So we develop butlers and servers and room attendants and laundry people and all sorts of people that can actually step out of their program and go into the workplace and do good jobs. And before they get the skills training, they go through 4 partial weeks of soft skills training. Now, you got to take that with a grain of salt, because I want you to think like this. I live for, just to say, 24 years, 22 years with my bad ways, okay?
Right.
Doing nothing right, rude, stink, I'm carrying on. I don't want anybody to think 50 hours
They're going to change
over
that.
a week is going to change that. Now, maybe you will hit something in the heart of those who want to be inspired. And so that's what we do. So we have about, I would say, maybe about a 78% success rate with those young people at the agency, because we don't play with them. They come in to do the training. They know it's discipline. They know it's manners. They miss more than 2 sessions, they are out of the program.
So,
and we document it, it's not coming back.
So I give them good practice of not calling in sick all the time.
That's right.
Show up to work.
Because the government spends money on them. I want the Bahamian people to know each of them costs us about $600 plus for 14 weeks of training. And you gonna mess up and you can not care. And the government does not need to be ashamed or embarrassed about what they're doing. That's the amount of money we spend on each individual, okay? And the government does lots and lots of things, and we just sit back. We are the most ungrateful, ingratitudinous people that I know, and we have to stop it. We have to stop it. Give me. Do this, free this, free that. No, sir. Work.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I didn't mean to rouse.
That's all right. That's all right. Your passion is coming out, and I'm sitting here because I understand it. We got how many minutes left? We got about 2 minutes left. Talk to us about some of the things that people can look forward to seeing come out of the National Training Agency this year.
Okay, just before I do that, I want to tell you, this pen, and I have one for you, this is ILM. This is the Institute of Leadership and Management. A powerful team building, supervisory, management, leadership organization out of London.
Wow.
It's the top tier of the City and Guilds group. Out of ILM last year came our new Commissioner of Police. Just after her and her cohort finished the program, the previous commissioner promoted her and some of the others and sent her down to Freeport. And only she can really tell you how much this program benefited her and them. But it did. So that's the second half of what we do. The second half is to promote productivity and performance by doing the ILM training, and we do level 2, level 3, and we're working on getting the permission to do level 4, which is higher up, higher up, higher up. And so that's the vehicle, because the National Training Agency's aim and focus is to prepare people for the workforce at entry level, and then to increase performance and productivity amongst people who are already working.
That's awesome. I think it's going to be an even more impactful year, because I think people recognize and are recognizing the importance of investing in people and investing in training so that we have better performances on the job and in the public service. Agatha Marcelle, it's always a pleasure talking with you. Thank you for your words of wisdom. And we appreciate you being here. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Stay with us. When we come back, we're going to have a discussion, a serious discussion about mental health and how we can prevent suicides in this country. We need to be able to address this issue. I'm going to talk about it in the rundown when we come back. Stay with us.